So branding is the idea. I always used to say branding is how your audience or the world perceives you.
Mhm.
Marketing is what you communicate to your audience. So there's two sort of sides of the coin here. And branding is the look, it's the feel, it's the association of how you would describe like HubSpot. It's sort of the stories we're telling through our visual imagery, through our tone, through our colors. That is my in my opinion is the branding. And in
Right.
order to connect that part to what you're saying, the demand part, well, I mean, it connects because what the branding it allows the demand marketer to do is to have that recall. So there's some user behavior science principles in demand that allows you to trigger the recall of what they may have experienced in the branding part. So if they're seeing a billboard or if they're seeing a commercial, and it's making them have evoke these feelings of right now we're doing a pirate series, which is really fun of like we can conquer the seven seas and then it makes them feel like they are sort of like like in charge of their quest, and then the demand marketer then can bring those emotions up with specific demand marketing principles and make them feel like yes, you are in charge of your own destiny, and
Right.
by the way, you should click this link to give us a try. Right? So there's a way we can kind of connect brand and demand with having those things recalled, those same emotions evoked that the amazing brand team has done, so that we are able to use that extra awareness that brand has created, that feeling that brand has created, and we take those key components and then we translate that into what's the next step in the sales process. And maybe it's a call with a sales rep, maybe it's a way for you to try out our product, or and maybe you want to have you want to sign up for our free product. So whatever the next step is, we can take all of the awareness that brand has done, because they've done a lot of heavy lifting for us, and then really translate that into the next step in the sales process, which is your call to action. So that's kind of how I see the two working together
Yeah.
in that aspect.
So for a small business owner, if I wanted to, if I'm liking what you're saying, and I think like my problem is I need more demand for my product or for my service. How do I go about what would be my first step into starting demand generation for my business?
Oh, that's a great question. Thanks for asking that question. I think the first step is understanding your audience. Your If you want to generate demand, you want to know what they want so that then you go and create what they want. When
Yeah.
I was a sales coach for service based professionals, I would create programs, sort of these incubator programs, where I would bring people into a weekly Zoom coaching session, and then they
Mhm.
would have pre recorded videos as well. But the funny thing is, when I launched this program, it wasn't even done. I was selling a four-figure program, but it wasn't complete. And the reason why is because I want to create what they want. So I
Right.
base my strategy, my demand strategy, based on my audience. And literally, the marketing words I will use are the exact words verbatim of my audience. So I would go
Right.
and ask them, how do you describe this? What do you want? How would you describe it? And those description words, that's your marketing. So if
Mm.
you want to create demand as a small business owner, I would say really understand and get really intimate with the knowledge of who your audience is, what they want, how they describe what they want. Write that down and then use that to create a campaign. That campaign uses their words, it uses their desires, even like the fears around that. What are those things like? What are the emotions around that? Like having sort of those insights, which just comes by doing, asking, and really seeing what resonates. Even if you have a bunch of posts on social media, which posts are getting the most likes? Why? Because
Yeah.
they like this phrasing. Okay, take that phrasing and do more of that, right? And so you're listening out, you're looking out for what resonates with your audience. That becomes your marketing. And your demand becomes okay, you say you want this, maybe you give them half of that. Right. So here's a cool tip. This is called the half now, half later strategy. Yay. So half now, if you have sound effects, you can cue like the applause. Half now, half later strategy. So you know what they want because you've done some research. Oh, look at it. I wasn't even expecting it. You were just
Yeah.
on it today. That's hilarious. So here's a really cool demand tip. Half now, half later strategy allows you to give your audience a little bit of what they need, and it is fulfilling. And then your call to action becomes, okay, here's another problem. We gave you this, we solved this problem. Here's another problem. Here's another gap. If you want to solve this other problem that I'm raising to you, then you can take this next step. And then that's this next step in your sales process, whatever the case may be, however you lay out your sales process. And that's a really good demand strategy, but definitely starts with knowing who your audience is and what their desires are.